If you are a sheepdog, part of the Bernie Sanders mindset, oh, guess what, folks? Guess what? Bernie, 8 years late to the game. So afraid, says the party needs to Autobots transform. Needs major transformation. Okay, so what's he talking about? What you talking about, Bernie? Well, the Democratic Party needs major transformation. It can no longer be a top-down, billionaire-funded, consulate-driven party. But you were bending over backwards and spreading them cheeks like an eagle flying high in the sky for that party. It must be multi-generational, multiracial, working-class party. Yeah, the Democrats ain't gonna let that happen, honey child. In a time of growing oligarchy and authoritarianism, that's the only path to victory. Jesus, you had 2016 to break away. You had 2020 to break away. The audacity of you saying this now says a lot to me because of how desperate you are in trying to sheep herd people into a party. It shows that you're afraid, Bernie. Shout out to Nick from RBN. Democratic Party needs to reject war. You are a NATO leftist who voted to continue war. We need a true anti-war movement outside the Democrat Party. Professor Zaka says, not going to happen, Bernie. Democrat Party is wholly captured by Wall Street and mega corporations. They ain't going to give up the cash. And Power to the People says, you are destroying your legacy by remaining subservient to a corrupt corporate party that destroyed both your campaigns. You cannot transform the anti-Democrat Party. It transforms you. Like it did. Absolutely. We need a new party, says Blakely. We were all set with the pathetic, weak genocide with supporting Democrats. And also, well done. The Democrats are now the party of the wealthy elites. They're completely out of touch. This is from Ely A. Says, out of touch with the American people. The party completely abandoned the working class. It's not the party it was 30 years ago. It never was that party 30 years ago. And our word finder, because you got to be careful of that YouTube censorship, right? George Soros and Pfizer want a word with you, Bernie. Oh, they do. They do indeed, honey child. All right? That's what they want. That's what they want. And see, the thing is, it's all about fear for Bernie. See, when you look back at 2016, here's something that's very clear. The 2016 election cycle was very electrifying. You had the Trump campaign and the Bernie Sanders campaign. Now, obviously, Bernie Sanders was a nutless, spineless wonder. But if you look at the legacy, which campaign lasted more and withstood the criticism from corporate media and social media? That was Trump's campaign. I mean, he won his first term, survived this, the Biden-Harris administration for all the legal troubles he went through, and then got elected for a second term. Bernie, he became a nutless cuck wonder. Had a campaign, gave up on his followers, rode the wave of it in the first term of Trump. Second wave happens, becomes a nutless, spineless wonder again, loses more credibility, defends his good friend Joe, implementing neoliberal policies that were no different than Trump. And now here he is. He's afraid, again, of Trump. Always afraid. It's about fear. He doesn't want to transform the party. He wants all of you to be afraid with him. That's not a leader. That's not a king. One who inspires fear and panic is someone you do not want to follow.
But there was also like there was a gravity in your voice, and a sense that, in a way that I maybe hadn't heard before. I don't know if you agree with that.
These are, the scariest times in my lifetime. That's all. I mean, I think it's objectively.
No, they're not. No, it's no different than any other time. Yes, things are frightening. Absolutely. I won't debate on that, but scariest? Nah. Humanity's been through worse. And we'll survive this one too. No backing down. And to say that this is the scariest lifetime, that's not going to inspire loyalty. I understand times are tough, and it is okay to be fearful. But if you give in to that fear, it will consume you. It's like when dealing with a bully or somebody who's harassing you. You got to stand up and fight. And the political system is the problem. The corporate media is the problem. But what I do have a problem with is when leaders come up and tell us to be afraid. I don't know about you, but I don't want to follow a guy who says, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. No. We ain't following you, buddy. If you do stuff like that, that tells me when the going gets tough, you're the first one to flee the battlefield.
The truth. You know, it is not just they want to give tax breaks to billionaires and cut programs for working people. Frankly, that's happened before.
Yeah.
But you combine that with the power of the oligarchy in general. You combine that with Mr. Musk owning Twitter and able to send out his messages to hundreds of millions of people. You combine that with the fact that people like Bezos, the second wealthiest person in the country, fired or got rid of most of his editorial staff and is going to convert them into a right-wing thing. Combine that with the fact that Trump is suing major media outlets and is threatening to investigate PBS and NPR. So it's not only the power of money, it's also combined with that.
Bernie, when Democrats were going after independent media outlets, smaller creators that didn't have a lot of influence, when the Vote Blue, no matter who people, and Twitter before Elon Musk took over were censoring and suppressing people, when Facebook was censoring and suppressing people, when Instagram was doing it against people that did not have a lot of push or pull, where was the concern then of what your fantastic friends and the Democrats were doing? Now, look, you know, PBS, NPR, all right, they're being investigated. Does it surprise me that Trump would do it? No. This is all part of his revenge, baby. I mean, I gave you this warning. I said to Democrats, hey, look, you know, you better hope all your ducks are in a row for all this legal lawfare you're doing against Trump, because if he wins a second term, look out. And I'm being proven correct on it. Sometimes the best thing you could do to somebody that's a bully is ignore them. Don't speak about them. Sometimes the best action is no action, actually. Sometimes the best thing to do is don't feed the troll. Well, you can occasionally feed the troll to make them screw up. But Bernie hasn't learned that tactic, that stratagem. It's all about raising up more fear, and that fear causes people, suckers, to empty out their wallets and donate to the Democrat Party.
The movement toward authoritarianism. You know, when Trump unilaterally cuts federal funding that was passed by Congress, that is illegal, that is unconstitutional. When you have the vice president saying, well, in his judgment, the courts don't have the right to stop unconstitutional acts of the president, man, that is authoritarianism. That's what the courts are. He is now trying to end what the founding fathers were pretty smart about, creating a form of government where there were checks and balances, you know, a legislative body, an executive body, and a judiciary. So he's moving aggressively in all of these areas. Yeah, there was gravity in my voice. This is a scary moment.
Woogie, boogie, 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 boogie. Be afraid, be afraid, be afraid. But see, the thing is, if we look at the environment of fear, Bernie, the Democrat Party is scared.
Man, I'll never vote for another Democrat again.
Why? What's up?
How do Trump sign 100 executive orders and you get a million promises from a Democrat, but they don't never come through with one promise they give you?
You know, brother, you're not wrong. You know, you got one party that's about action and you got one party that's about inaction. And, you know, so I was literally having that conversation with a good friend of mine this week. That is why people have soured on Democrats. You know, regardless of what Republicans are doing, you see Republicans doing something. I can't see Democrats getting back in office no time soon unless something changes drastically.
A recent poll found 70% of voters feel President Trump kept his campaign promises.
Man, I'll never vote for another.
Man, and that's the thing. Has Biden followed through with his campaign promises? Has Biden followed through with anything? Hey, folks, hey, here's what's going to issue confidence for all of you. Here, hold on. Here, let's talk about confidence. Confidence being so high as it is, right? Let's be very confident. Here, look at this. From the Sunrise Movement. This is what leadership looks like. Democrats need to be in every corner of the country organizing and fighting. Proud to be partnering with Ro Khanna on the Benefits Over Billionaires tour to do just that. This man's doing insider trading. Hello? Ro Khanna? This guy? This dude? This is the best you got. Follow Unusual Whales on X, okay? please do so for me as a favor for me. All right. Because also we got to look at also the Democrats, because Bernie, these are your friends. Joe Biden, row your boat, Ro Khanna, and of course, somebody who probably might be done up like Biden very soon and be kicked out of the party, Chucky Boy Schumer.
So, David, Schumer called this temporary spending bill terrible, but he voted to advance it because it could lead to Republicans shutting down the government for many months, potentially, and then just letting Trump take actions with very little constraint. So, I mean, were they in a no-win situation, the Democrats?
No, I think this was a historic failure by Chuck Schumer, and I think there's no explanation for what he did. And here's why. We see these spending bills every year, and there's a little good and a little bad. And even if you're in the minority, you can claim a few wins. Understand, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats who voted for this are not out there saying, yes, but we got these concessions. They're not saying, yes, but we saved these certain federal programs. Yes, but we got these Democratic priorities. They got nothing. They got nothing. Their message is basically, we don't want Democrats to be a part of the story. And I think that's why everybody's irate. What do you mean you don't want Democrats to be a part of the story? Now is when you want Democrats to be a part of the story. So I think Susan's right. What does winning look like in this situation? It's hard to see for Democrats because they don't control the majority, but you've got to put up the fight and show the American people that if we say that these are not normal times, then don't behave in normal ways. And I think what Chuck Schumer did to the Democratic base is he told the base they're wrong.
Oh, so hey, we're gonna add trillions of dollars of debt to the economy. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna fight for you, and then I'm not going to do it at all. Period. Like any other Democrat, like they do all the time, every time.
Schumer said to Democratic voters, "You're wrong to feel these are unprecedented times. Don't worry, just trust me. I got it all worked out." And Democrats aren't having it.
Look, I don't want to start between the two of you, but David, Susan said that she thinks Chuck Schumer made the right call.
So, and I think I understand exactly where Susan is, because I played this out in my mind as well, which is right now we saw that the majority of the country is against what Donald Trump is doing by a small majority. So he owns the failures. And if Democrats participated in what would have been a government shutdown, they would have been participating in part of the failure as well. So now what Chuck Schumer said is, we don't want Democrats to be a part of the story. We want Donald Trump to own the failure. That's his strategy. I understand his perspective. I just strongly disagree with it.
Susan, I can see you shaking your head.
My point is what could Schumer negotiate for? Let's just say he said no and
But he made a promise to fight. Like how Bernie Sanders made a promise to fight. Like how Ro Khanna made a promise to fight. Like how Nancy Pelosi made a promise to fight. Like how AOC made a promise to fight. And you know something? They broke that promise. So when you return back to a tweet like this, when we see Bernie Sanders saying that the party needs to transform, what transforming are you going to do? You posted this yesterday, Bernie. The Democrat Party's been all on board for following orders, listening to their corporate donors, and not changing anything. You know what's going to happen? We're going to get a couple more emails from Democrats. In fact, I got one right now from the Democrats. Can you give us more money? F you, pay me. Give me money, Democrats. All right. Here, look. $10. Hold on. Elon Musk in Wisconsin Supreme Court race. $10. That's the amount we're asking you to split between the DNC and the Wisconsin Democrat Party. $10. $10. They're asking me to donate $10. I don't have $10, baby. But if you give me $10 and that stimulus check that you promised way back in 2020, we'll call it even. So $2,010 plus an additional interest. Bernie, you gave up your legacy. You gave up all of your hard work. I only can imagine the pain in all of your canvassers' eyes as they realize that they gave it all up for a nutless, spineless cuck who didn't give a damn about them. That's your legacy, Bernie. The clown.